church. Hello? Hello? Hello, church? Hello. Sorry I'm late, okay. Sorry, had technical difficulties. It says health presentation, but we're going to be focused more on technology, on AI and social media. So there is an element to health about it. So yeah, hopefully you can bear with me. Let me know when I'm at time, because I know I'm running late. So my name is Narima Wandera, and I am part of the Luton North congregation. So I'm happy to be here to present. So thank you, Louise, for asking me to be here today. Okay, so the agenda for today is we're going to look quickly at the history of technology. We're then going to look at what is AI, so what is artificial intelligence. We're also going to look at what is social media. Then we'll go into both AI and social media. But most importantly, we're going to end with how to guard yourself, okay? So when we look at the history of technology, technology is the application of scientific knowledge to create tools, systems, and solutions that improve human life, okay? The history of technology is a story of human innovation, shaping civilizations and transforming the way in which that we live. Now, I can see that in the audience, we have a variety of ages. So we have some early pioneers who are probably going to get the next couple of slides, going to identify some of the things that are on there. But we also have our younger generation, our Gen Alpha, here with us, who have really been born, and if there's any millennials as well, been born through the digital age. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. So we're just going to quickly go through the history of technology. So in 1947, and I've only picked a few, okay? There's been so many technological advancements, okay? So does anyone know what the first photo is at all? No, in 1947? Transistor. Yes, man. Oh, you guys got it good. 1951, what's the second photo? Huh? A desktop is the first computer. The first computer was launched and invented in 1951. And when we look at the first computer, this, as you can see on screen, is massive, okay? But it could only do a few things. It could only do simple arithmetic and data handling. Third on screen, we have 1984, which is the brick, okay, not a mobile phone, but a brick. Yes, in 1984, the first mobile phone launched. Could you imagine? It looks so big, right? But it only held 30 minutes of charge. It took 10 hours to charge to get 30 minutes of juice. Could you imagine that? Now I can plug my phone on an NFC, and within minutes, it's 100%, and it can last me days and days. So, oh, how times have changed. Okay, so if we look at the next slide, in 1975, we have the release of the first digital camera, okay? And that's actually what it looked like. It had a record cassette player on it. And could you imagine, it only stored up to 30 photos? I literally looked at my phone and I have 7,000 photos and videos on my Android, because I'm Android anointed, okay? Not an Apple apostle. But that was the first digital camera in 1975. If you have a look as well, in 1989 was the World Wide Web, which was invented by Tim Berners-Lee. And could you imagine, within 1 year, so within 1 year from 1989, we had 0.05% of people using the internet. Could you imagine? 0.05% of people. Within 2 years, in 1981, it was released to the public for everyone to use. Yeah, in 1991, 2 years later, it got released for everyone to use. If you have a look there, we have 1994. What does that look like? No. It was the first smartphone. Could you imagine that? The first smartphone. So we had the actual phone in the previous slide, but this is the first smartphone in 1994. It actually had a touchscreen. Could you imagine that? In 1994, the phone had a touchscreen. It was able to email to fax. It had calendar. You could store addresses. It had a couple of apps, even had a stylus. Could you imagine that? Its battery life was for about an hour, but it was really expensive. It cost over $1,000. Okay, so if we look at the next slide, does anyone know what 1997 represents? Come on, don't act shy. I know there's some of you in that age bracket. 6 degrees. 6 Degrees was the first social media networking site, and it was based on the concept of 6 degrees of separation, which suggests that everyone in the world is connected by 6 or fewer social connections, okay? In 2003, Skype was launched. Now, you all know a bit of Skype, right? Calling your family back home. It was designed for peer-to-peer communication. It used to be free, and then you had to pay for it. I know that's what happens with technology when it becomes popular. And then in 2004, we have Facebook, which I'm sure majority of you are on, and that was launched in February 2004. Okay, so 2005, we have the launch of YouTube. So as you could see, as we're going through the years, right, everything is really advancing, right? So in 2005, we have YouTube, which launched. And YouTube was designed as a video sharing website, allowing users to upload, share, and view videos online. This is when you got an insight into people's lives who are across the world, okay? You're like, oh my goodness, is that what they be doing in China? Oh my gosh, is that Thailand? Oh, is that South Africa? And you're just here in Luton, and you're able to see what's happening around the world. At the same time, Samsung's first smartphone, the Samsung i300, was launched as well. It featured a Windows mobile operating system. It had 3 gigabytes of hard drive as well. I actually wanted to mention that because, as you can see, in 2007, we have Apple, right? iPhone was released, the first iPhone. Just wanted to say a plug again. Samsung was ahead of iPhone. Okay, I'm here to wave the flag for on Android. So that was in 2007, but the iPhone really did change the mobile and smartphone industry with its multi-touch interface. And then we have in 2011, we have, what is that on screen? Bitcoin. Ooh, a number of you know what Bitcoin is. That's good. So in 2011, Bitcoin was in its 3rd year. And the reason why I chose the date 2011 is because that's the year it became popular. So that is Bitcoin, which is a digital currency. And then if we go on to the last slide for history, who knows what the first image is for 2012? Smart car, yeah, similar. It was the first driverless car. Could you imagine in 2012, only 2012? We had the first driverless car. Now you have Tesla just doing its own thing, going wherever it wants to go. But this was the Google car, which was quite significant. And essentially, they released it in Nevada, and it was the first car that was allowed actually on the road amongst people and amongst other vehicles. So if you take a look at 2016, who knows what that is? Virtual world, virtual reality, that is correct. So 2016 saw the launch of Oculus Rift, which was a major milestone in consumer virtual reality. Does anyone know what virtual reality is or doesn't know? Wants me to explain a bit what it is? Tell you? Okay. So virtual reality, essentially, it's a screen that you put on like a little helmet, and it transports you into a virtual world. So if I was to put it on here, for example, I wouldn't see you. I would maybe see a room that's been built in this software. So it kind of looks like a game. So you can play a lot of games in it. It really immerses you into a completely different world as to what you're in. It can be quite dangerous. I've tried to play one, and I walked straight into a wall when I was trying to run away from a dinosaur. So it is, it can be quite painful depending on what games you're playing. But also now there's advances where you could have your calendar up, you can transport to different countries, different architecture, you can go into museums and see what the museums are like without actually being there. And then 2022, what is that? ChatGPT. Did you say that? Yes, man. Little man up there knows. ChatGPT. And the reason why I chose 2022, even though it was launched a few years earlier, is because that's when the free version got launched, and that's where a lot of us began to hear about this term AI and open AI. So if we go on to the next slide. What is artificial intelligence? So AI is the simulation of human intelligence in machines programmed to think and learn like humans, okay? So AI systems are capable of performing tasks such as recognizing patterns, which you might have seen the police now actually use it to recognize faces because it can recognize patterns on facial features. It can understand language. So, Google, when you're asking it to translate something if you're in another country, and you want it to translate it into Spanish, into, I don't know, whichever language you want to speak. It can translate it in human time as well. But it can also solve complex problems. So you're able to put in a command or ask it a question, and it will search the internet and uses the data to be able to give you an outcome, okay? So it's transforming industries across the globe. Okay, so there are 3 types of AI, and let me know if I'm going too quick. So the 3 types of AI. Narrow AI is designed to perform specific tasks, such as facial recognition, as I mentioned, or language translation. It also excels in its designated area, but it cannot perform tasks outside of scope. So if you tell a narrow AI software to do A, it will do A. It won't go on and do B, C, and think for itself, okay? Now, general AI in the middle, on the other hand, it's designed to perform any intellectual task that a human can do. So this mimics human-like flexibility and learning capabilities, okay? So we'll learn more about that. And then you have super AI, which is currently still theoretical. And this super AI surpasses the human intelligence in all aspects, including reasoning, problem solving, creativity, and emotional understanding. Unlike narrow AI or general AI, super AI would be self-aware and capable of independent thought beyond human comprehension, okay? And we'll talk more about that as well over the next few slides. Okay, so really quickly, how does AI work? So as I mentioned before, AI essentially gathers information. So it uses algorithms and data to stimulate human intelligence. So it has access to all the information on the internet, and it uses that to be able to deliver an output. Okay, so it helps you make decisions, predictions based on any data. There is 2 types of learning that AI does. Machine learning, which is essentially where AI uses algorithms to learn from the data. But then you also have deep learning, which is machine learning technique used as a multi-layered networks to process and model complex data patterns. So for example, machine learning is you tell it to learn A, it will go and learn A, and it will deliver an output based on A. If we think about deep learning, you tell it to do A, it'll say, okay, this is A, but let me go and look at anything else that is related to A that I could bring in to help me make this decision, to help me make this action, to help me deliver this output. So it's more complex, and it essentially does more deep learning. So it goes just beyond the initial instruction that it's given. Okay. Generative AI. Has anyone heard of generative AI? Gen AI? No? Okay. So this is actually a term that is quite popular and spoken about in the news, online, and it's one of the areas of AI that's really fast growing and really developing, okay? So this part of AI is a subset of narrow AI. It creates new content such as text, images, videos, music, and even code. So when we think about Gen AI, it generates whatever you tell it to generate. So it doesn't, necessarily do A. So I could, for example, if you look at ChatGPT, you can go on ChatGPT, and if you pay for a version of it, it can create images. So I could tell it, okay, I'm going to South Africa on a holiday, and as part of my trip to South Africa, we are going to visit one of the tribes, the Zulu tribe. Could you please create for me an image that shows me what I should wear to be able to respect the traditions of the Zulu culture in South Africa? What it will do is it will create an image, because it will source the internet and search for everything and anything that's South Africa, that's Zulu, that's tribal, that's outfit wear, and it will create an image to tell me what to wear and how to dress to be able to adhere to the cultural traditions there in South Africa. So that's just an example of Gen AI. It goes that next step. It can create, think, and put together images and content on there as well. Okay? So, how is AI transforming industries? Now, I know there's some things I've mentioned, and you've probably heard in the news, right? There's some concerns, some ethical concerns when it comes to AI. But there is some good that it is doing. So we're just going to take a look at the good before we go on to the negative. Okay, so the first one is healthcare. I'm not sure why the E is missing. A couple of the words are missing. But if we look at healthcare, so AI is revolutionizing healthcare by improving diagnostic treatment and patient care. And I don't know if there's any doctors, GPs, in the room. You're probably having some AI technologies being embedded into the NHS as well. It enhances medical imaging analysis, so any scans that you have, a bot will be able to see if there's any shadows, for example, which could be a determiner of maybe potentially cancer, etc. So it's really being used in that way. But it's also helping in drug discovery. So it can read all of the data that's ever been done medically, and it can piece together any sort of not thought by human complexes and molecules together to be able to predict or suggest scientific developments that haven't yet been tried out. When we look at finance, it's improving efficiency, security, and decision-making. Okay, it enhances fraud detection, risk management, but also supports in the trading industry. So I know, how many of you do mobile banking? Mobile, even telephone banking, right? When you call them, they do voice recognition. So when you call and you give your details, it actually recognizes your voice. That's one of the security clearances when you're calling. Sometimes on your phone, when you're making a payment, it says you have to hold and show your face, right? It's doing your biometrics of your eyes for your camera. Other things it can do is, for example, you could be trying to make a large payment and you'll get an automatic text message that might come to your phone with a code. That again is an AI bot that will automatically send it to your phone. So there are different ways in which it's being embedded in finance as well. It can also look at markets and it can make predictions on when there's going to be a recession in the future, which industries might be improving or declining as well. Okay, so transportation really quickly. So it's really enhancing efficiency, safety, and automation. One example of transformation that I'd want to say is just your sat-nav. I don't know if you guys use Waze. Some people say WAZ. Even Google Maps. Let me say Google Maps, even though I don't like it. But it essentially can predict traffic on your route and divert you, because no one wants to be stuck in traffic. I don't know how the older people, with all respect, did it with the maps back in the day, getting stuck and caught up in a road closure. But now we have sat-navs that are AI powered as well. In retail, it's enhancing customer experience. So for example, online, sometimes if you shop online, you might see something that's out of stock, but then it says, soon to be in stock. So it can actually measure what items are going to be in high demand, and then it helps the companies be able to submit some orders to help them meet the demands of the people. But also chatbots as well. You have customer service online. In education, really quickly, it enhances learning experiences. In science and environment, it helps with climate modeling and also disaster predictions. So something that's actually quite cool about it is, with all of the earthquakes, right, that happen, every single country has its own reporting organization, a geo organization, and they report tremors that they measure, the seismic tremors that they get. And when they put that into the system, the AI bot can predict when an earthquake is likely to happen based on the activity that they're measuring with the tools that they have, which I think is quite cool as well. So it could help save a lot of lives as well. If we look at AI and justice, so legal accessibility, so you can go online and have an AI lawyer, if you can't afford a real lawyer. And essentially it uses all of the laws that are online to help give you advice and guidance on sort of the next steps you should take. It also analyzes case, but it also helps humanitarian efforts. Now, if we look at media, because we're going to dive into social media quickly, it's transforming content in terms of how it's created, how it's curated, and how it's consumed. Okay, so some of the negative impacts of AI, there's 6 on screen. So privacy risks, because it is technology, I'm sure you guys are aware of what has happened with M&S, with Harrods, and with Co-op, right? There was a cyber attack. There's a jacket I want at M&S that is out of stock, and they don't know when it's coming back in stock, thanks to the hackers. But essentially what it means when it comes to privacy risks is that someone can hack it. You have hackers who sit behind a screen, and they use AI to try and infiltrate the security systems that companies have, and it can steal data, so it can steal your online banking. I think there's an issue with one of the banks as well, where it was just giving out money. Was it HSBC? Giving out money.
No, there's also they actually moved
their website. Oh my.
And then when you go now to buy something,
Yeah.
the actors have got your details, and you're paying for something else.
Yes, exactly, and that's something that we're gonna exactly. So with the privacy risk as well, it could mimic, right? The AI bot can create anything and mimic absolutely anything that is online that it can analyze. So as Sister Sonia said, Costco has a replicated website where people are going on there and trying to order things from Costco, but it's actually a fake website. So you have to be really careful. Second is job displacement. I'm not going to go into that, but I just want to mention that they always say AI is going to bring so many jobs, but it's actually taken away a lot of jobs. It's taken away a lot of jobs. Any job that is routine, that involves tasks, that involves analysis, the bot can do that. And, pardon? Yes, tracking online. Yes. Exactly. So it is taking away a lot of jobs, but there will be new jobs for those who want to retrain and learn about technology. The third one is bias and discrimination. So this is something that's quite big, especially because of my field of work. So I work as a diversity, equity, and inclusion leader within the financial sector. And when I look at AI, especially it being embedded in processes such as recruitment processes, but also something I mentioned earlier on, which is with the Met Police in terms of them doing facial recognition. It means that because we live in a society that is racist, I can say the word, yes, racist, and discriminatory, it means that the data it's using as a foundation, as a blueprint, as a template, is already flawed, it's already racist, it's already discriminatory, meaning that when it's being applied, it will only seek out the groups of people that already in society are at the top and are favored. So that's why ethical concerns and ethical management needs to really be applied on AI. And you have data ethics governance teams that make sure they're really reviewing each of the applications of AI to make sure that their outputs are as fair and equitable as possible. So the fourth one is ethical concerns, which I've mentioned, and then environmental impact. Now, the amount of water it takes, I don't have a specific number for it, but the amount of water it takes to keep an AI computer on, it has to be on like minus, I don't know, 200 and something degrees Celsius, right? To keep it cool enough because of how hot it gets. The carbon footprint associated with artificial intelligence is so high that is one of the biggest concerns, especially with its rapid development and adoption. So water is used for cooling to make sure that it can keep running. Because can you imagine, sometimes your phone gets hot, right? Your laptop gets hot. Now, can you imagine the massive systems trying to power every single person? I don't know if you saw on the news as well, they said that when you guys are using ChatGPT, for those who do, stop saying please, stop saying thank you, because it takes a lot for it to process a please, for it to process a thank you. So just tell it what you want it to do, rather than being nice and kind to it, because it's not human, they say. And the last one is AI dependence. So over-reliance on AI, right? As I mentioned, ChatGPT, we're living in a society where everyone's addicted to their phones. We don't want to think for ourselves anymore. We want the machine to think for us. We have a question, we're like, hey Siri, hey Alexa, whatever you want to know, it's right there. We are really losing the skills, and the younger generation especially, they're losing the skills to be able to try and identify information, find information out, get something wrong, learn from your mistakes. So there is a lot of dependence on AI that's going to grow. Okay, really quickly on social media. Okay, so social media refers to online platforms that allow users to connect, share, and engage in virtual communities. Now, when we look at popular social media apps, so the first one is the blue one, the one next to it, and the next one, oh, you know about TikTok, okay, no, you with the TikTok, and then the next one in green, everyone's favorite, and then the next one, Twitter or X, yes, and then the next one, not the Snap and the chat. Yes, church, you guys are online. So these are popular social media apps, and as mentioned, they're used for community, right? But we'll go on to some of the negatives when it comes to social media, because as we know, they're trolls, right? And then when we think about AI now, you have AI trolls, right? Where they just create fake accounts on all of these, applications, and they send misinformation. My mom is consistently sending me fake news on WhatsApp, and all I can see is it said forwarded many times. And I'm like, it's not real, it's not real. So again, the discerning of truth from deception is going to be something that's quite key, which I'll touch on. 5 minutes. Oh, Lord. Okay. So if we look at AI and social media, so as I mentioned, AI is transforming social media. I'll just quickly go on to the next slide. Pros and cons. So the pros of having AI and social media together is personalized content. So you can get AI to create you any post that you want that's personalized to who you are, to any history you have of yourself online. It's also automated customer support is one of the other things. So you have a lot of your brands that you might shop at or go to, like Tesco's, even M&S, etc. They have social media apps where you can go and actually tell them, hey, my order hasn't arrived, rather than sending an email and waiting 15 business days. So that's something that's quite good. But you can also get data-driven insights. One of the cons, as we mentioned, previously concerns, the one there that we haven't mentioned is echo chambers. On social media, how AI works, the algorithm. The minute you like a post, the minute you interact with a post, the minute you watch a post, whatever it might be, an image, a video, for too long, the algorithm notices that you like that. So what that means is, next thing you know, your whole page is filled with the exact same type of content. You could be having a conversation and saying, I'd really love some bun and cheese from Jamaica. I bet you my phone, my Instagram, when I go on there, will start showing me bun and cheese from Jamaica. So it really learns what the things you like, and it just gives you more. So it puts you in an echo chamber. It's a negative because when you think about propaganda when it comes to political landscapes and elections, etc., if you're touching and liking certain political individuals, that's the only information you're going to see. No other information is going to come through, and a lot of times that information is not always true. So it puts you in an echo chamber and isolates you from actual truth. Okay, I literally have like 4 slides left, so hopefully I'll be done in soon. So with that being said, how can we as Christians prepare for an AI-driven future and put on the biblical armor that God gives us? Okay? So Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So we need to learn how to do what is good. So as I mentioned, AI on social media and social media can be used for good. We spoke about its, community building. So one thing we can do is spread the gospel. Now, do any of you have the YouVersion Bible app on your phone? The Bible app? Yeah? A couple of you don't have the Bible app? You guys have actual Bibles? Okay. So you guys are not yet there. You're okay. So there's a Bible app which is amazing. So I'm able to do Bible plans with my friends. Friends who are not even Christian can send a Bible app to them, and it's like a couple of days of Bible study, essentially. So if we think about Mark 16:15, which says, go into the world and preach the gospel, that's one way we can use social media and AI if we want to help generate posts, ask it to give us Bible suggestions on a particular topic if we know friends who are going through something, which comes onto the second verse that's there. Matthew 5:14-16. Earlier in the sermon today, Pastor spoke about being the light. So Matthew 15:14-16 says, "You are the light of the world, a town built on a hill that cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." So we should be using social media for good, to spread the message. The second is connection and encouragement. Social media helps maintain relationships and support groups, be it where you currently are, the town you're living in, country, or even abroad. I believe earlier on we heard, Elder, you said someone from Namibia was joining, right, the prayer meeting. We can really use social media for good to reach the masses. And Hebrews 10:24 and 25 says, "And let us consider how we may spur up one another toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, be it in person or virtual, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching." And then Proverbs 27:17, which says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." So we need to remember to stay connected. The third is advocate and support. Now, we can support charities, we can educate our friends on the message, educate our friends on any causes, any social matters that are impacting the disadvantaged in our communities. Proverbs 31:8-9 says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy." Micah 6:8 says, "He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God." With that, we also need to guard our minds. Now, AI-driven content can lead to distraction, misinformation, and harmful influences. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, we must guard our heart, for everything we do flows from it." So the first I have there is discerning the truth from deception. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 and 22 says, "But test them all. Hold on to what is good. Reject every kind of evil." We need to be really careful when we're online with technology. Evil can be masked to look good. It has the most likes, the most shares, it goes viral. Oh my gosh, viral. But it's not good. It's evil. And we need to make sure that we're able to discern that. Misinformation can also cause division. When we think of the deep fakes, especially in elections, we have a Bible verse that speaks to that, which is 2 Timothy 4:3-4. "For the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. They will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths." 1 John 4:1 also says, "Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see what they are from God. Because many false prophets have gone out into the world, and we have many online false prophets coming in Lamborghinis, flying in helicopters, getting haircuts on stages." I know I'm singling one out. But we have so many fake pastors and people of God. We have to be very careful with what we're consuming online. So if we look at the second one, which is avoiding addiction and anxiety. So AI and social media tools should be used as tools and not masters. Matthew 6:24 says, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other." Algorithms keep us hooked. They want us to keep scrolling for hours. Comparison culture makes us look at other people who are posting their high life, their rented life, their debt life, and make us think that we're losing out. And that can lead to anxiety and stress, especially in our young people. This life that they're aspiring to, it's not realistic, it's not of God. So when we think of Galatians 1:10, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I was still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. And lastly, when we think of seeking godly wisdom, over AI influence. Now, AI can shape our opinions, but us as Christians, we should rely on God's wisdom rather than the algorithms. The algorithm is not God, you know? So James 1:5 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him. Psalms 139, 1-4 says, you have searched me, O Lord, and you know me. God knows us better than an algorithm. It knows us better than our likes, our dislike. It knows what's inside of us that no one else sees. You know when I sit, when I rise, you perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all of my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. And with that, I'm going to close with one slide, which is Philippians 4:8. So finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, I plead on you to think on these things. Amen.
What do you say again, church?